What's up YouTube, and welcome to my first ever non-speedrun video for Dead by Daylight. With the release of 6.1.0 earlier this week, I kinda wanted to jump on the opportunity, get on the bandwagon a little bit, show one of my first games with this update, weigh in on what I think, talk about how I think the game has changed, whether that's for the better or for the worse. So with that, let's jump right into it. So one of the first things that you'll likely notice about this game is that we have Nancy Wheeler, who's Prestige 11. Now, the system that they were originally going to implement had meant that people could get as high as Prestige 12 with 6.1.0, but they decided to change that and they knocked it back down to Prestige 9 at the max, but they essentially put you right on the edge of Prestige 10. So you could still get into double digits early, but this is somebody who's put a lot of points into their Nancy. And for me as a killer player, seeing that, that's something that I have to keep in mind, because the old system you didn't know. You didn't know what prestige people were, you didn't know if they were brand new or just trying somebody out or what have you. But we go to Autohaven, and we go to Wrecker's Yard, and one of the comments that I made in this game, I was talking to my friend Osu at the time, was that I had just played on Wreckers before 6.1 went live. The last game I played as Executioner, and I spawned in that exact same spot. So you'll notice we started the game off with Lethal Pursuer, which, even stopping for my glyph, that 2 extra seconds of information was enough to know where Cheryl was. And we get a very early down here, which is... This would not have happened, I'll say. With the original way that Dead Hard worked, that would not have happened. There would have been a nice E, and I would have been, reset back, and they would have gone back to the bus or what have you. Now, I saw scratch marks that weren't Cheryl's, so I knew there was somebody around here, but it took me a second to find this Kate. And we're in 2 chases in a matter of a handful of seconds. We're less than a minute into this game, I think, and we've got a hook and a second chase. We get a very nice early hit here, and you'll notice this is the shorter survivor recovery. Executioner's M2 time did not change. He is still locked in his, I believe it's 2 1/4. For successful or missed M2s. That did not change. What changed was the base M1. So the 3-second recovery is now 2.7, and the survivors get a 1.8 second speed boost instead of a 2-second speed boost. They basically they shaved 10% off of each side, meaning killers net an extra 0.5 seconds per hit during a chase. Kind of unfortunate that we ended up back at Cheryl again. There were 3 people here altogether, and it just happened to be the Cheryl, but thankfully Neo was nice enough to be obvious for us, so we could switch targets to her instead. I don't know what happened here. I think I got confused and thought that she walked into the basement, even though I could see the scratch marks on the pallet. Call that being rusty. Coming back to Dead by Daylight after I had taken a fairly extended break from playing this game seriously, so... But we find people doing gens and healing together. This is 3 survivors. As a killer, this is your favorite thing, finding this many people together. I was actually trying to swing for Nancy here, but I grabbed the Cheryl, who had decided to work on the gen directly in front of me. And then Nancy ran back into me, which allowed me to down her as well. I've heard rumor that they turned MMR off when they dropped 6.1.0. Killers have supposedly been having significantly easier games. So if they turned MMR off and you're just kind of getting a smorgasbord of survivors, as it were, then I could understand that. And now we have 2 hooked very near each other. We find the Nia, and Kate is here because somebody had to unhook that Nancy. So we're playing with the whole team not on generators. We're still at 5 gens. This is kind of, as a killer, this is the perfect storm for you. This is exactly what you want, right? Another relatively quick down on this Nia, which I think may be partly due to the fact that survivors are either getting used to not having Dead Hard the way that they used to, and or not having dead hard at all. They're having to learn to use new exhaustion perks or no exhaustion perks, or totally revamp how they play with dead hard because there's no longer that dead hard for distance that killers grew so upset about. Fantastic spin by this Cheryl, by the way. Really, really good. And then we just patiently wait it and get another M2 here. And you'll notice they've kind of stayed on this side of the map. They really haven't tried to draw me anywhere else. They haven't taken the time to split up or to push other sides of the map. So I'm kind of wondering maybe they were a little too worried about this side rather than trying to split the pressure. But I also was able to keep up pressure very, very well here. And you'll notice the rest of the team is taking the time to reset, which is fantastic. That's what they should be doing. Another great fake by this Cheryl. This Cheryl was actually juicing me this entire game. But unfortunately, this team is already really far behind. So in the perfect killer world, this is what you want, right? You want a group of survivors who are really struggling to keep up their gen pressure, who are really struggling to get anything done. We give Cheryl the chop and we're still at 4 gens. And thanks to the angle switching, when we give her the chop, we were able to see Kate behind us, which gives us our next chase immediately. There is so little downtime here. And then she vaults into us. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe she thought I was around the other side or something, but she did vault directly into us, which meant that that down was almost immediate. And again, we've killed somebody at 4 generators and moved into our next chase and ended it very, very quickly. So these survivors are not catching a break in terms of getting some time on gens or getting some time to just, run around, reset each other, and then 2-man a generator, knock something out. They just don't have the time with the pressure that I'm able to keep up in this game. And this Nia does kind of take me for a ride here a little bit. She's masterful at knowing when to hold W and when to take her vaults and her loops and things. Unfortunately here, she does kind of get caught out. She didn't make it to her next loop. What you can't hear because I have the game audio turned off is the Kate behind me. She's the one who popped the generator. She also broke a hook behind me, which I'm sure if she was just trying to prevent me from getting a hook state, that was the right move. But I wasn't even looking that direction, so I wasn't considering a hook over there. She's also injured, so it would be very dangerous to go for a Sabo play in my face. Nancy just unhooked the Nia, so we now have a count of where everybody is. The shorter cooldown on the M1 pays us in dividends at several points during this game. The shorter survivor move speed boost is huge. The gen time obviously doing work for us here because they've done 2 generators in the time it's taken me to get 8 hooks. And the overall speed kind of that they've added to the game where killers can now get their steam rolling a little bit faster is awesome. And so we're back on the Nia again, and she was just working on a generator, which means she can't have Decisive Strike or Off the Record if she has it. Off the Record is also canceled by what they now call Conspicuous Actions, which are basically your Decisive Strike turn-off conditions. You're working on a gen, you're cleansing or blessing a totem. Fantastic stun here, by the way. These guys were very, very good. Unfortunately, she missed the blind angle. Nancy comes in to take a body block, which, with the shorter cooldown, I am totally okay with taking hits on people who want a body block. It used to be like it stopped your chase, basically. If somebody took a body block, it's like, okay, well now I have to go for them because I can't get to that original person. Nancy's here, I guess, trying to heal. I don't know if she had maybe Wiglif or something, and she was going to come in and endurance the Nia back up. But she gets the choppies. I heard the Kate here, which again, you guys won't hear because I have the game audio turned off, which means that I can turn around and get the Kate down. We also give Kate the choppies, and then unfortunately, because she was not on last hook, Nancy does not get the choppies, preventing us from getting the 4-man Final Judgment lobby. Overall, I think the game has finally swung into a killer-favored patch, and I know this is going to be a hot topic. I know a lot of people are going to get upset about this. This has finally swung into killer favor. Everybody that's, upset on forums and upset on Twitter and talking about how killers are really, really powerful. Now, yes, they are. 100%. I agree. Do I think that is a bad thing? No. Survivors have had their time in the limelight. I think it's time for killers to get theirs. The killers have kind of needed something for a while to make chases not take as long, and Dead Hard has been an issue for a very long time. And I think most survivors know that Dead Hard was also an issue. The few people doing the whole you can just wait out Dead Hard thing, yes, you can, but if you wait out the Dead Hard, they make the window or the pallet or what have you. And if you don't wait out the Dead Hard, then you swing and miss and you have a 3-second long recovery where you have to sit there and wait while they make distance. Even more distance than they would have already made with Dead Harding for distance. So, I think it's about time that killers had something. And I'm glad that the meta's being shaken up. I'm glad that they're changing things around. The base kit borrowed time is a good change. It discourages immediate tunneling, although obviously tunneling and camping will still be prevalent for those killers who want to do it. Because you're never going to tell somebody that they can't do something. They'll just find a different way to go about it. But overall, between the perk changes, between the quality of life changes, the removal of the rubber banding, finally, I haven't rubber banded at all since 6.1, which supposedly was something that they fixed in 6.1. The game feels a lot better to play. And I have spoken to and heard from a number of survivor mains who are very upset with the game and plan on putting it down temporarily or forever. I've spoken with a lot of killer mains who have left the game for whatever their reason may have been, who are considering coming back because of 6.1. So I think the community will even itself out. We had a lot of survivors because we had the meta of Dead Hard, Decisive, Unbreakable, Borrowed Time, and now that that has been shaken up, all of those perks are still viable. You can still make use of a 0.5 second endurance effect from Dead Hard. You can still make use of Decisive Strike exactly the same way, it's just now you can't force it at endgame. You can still use Unbreakable because Unbreakable wasn't altered at all. And you can still use Borrowed Time because it makes your base kit Borrowed Time infinitely better. But they have pushed survivors into considering other options, which is great. Killers, they have removed Ruin from the meta because Ruin is literally half as good as it used to be and now deactivates as soon as somebody dies. They have pushed Barbecue away because they have removed the blood point aspect of it. And yes, some killers will still run it for the aura reading. I'm not going to say that they won't. That is still a fantastic reason to run Barbecue and Chili, especially on your long-range killers. But they've removed Ruin, they've removed Barbecue from most people running it for the blood points. They have made aura reading significantly more powerful through the change to Lethal Pursuer. They have made it worthwhile to kick generators. They've moved us to an active regression system rather than passive through Ruin and Undying. We're now encouraged to kick generators with the faster kick and the mini pop baked in. Jolt is now a significantly better option for all of your killers. Anybody who M1s for any reason can run Jolt and be massively successful because it no longer has a cooldown. All of these things where killers are being rewarded for doing their job rather than having an outside force do their job for them and they just kind of sit around and wait until that outside force is gone and then bring in some reinforcement perk. So the Ruin Pop, the Ruin Undying, the Tinkerer change I think will hit Blight particularly hard. all of these things that I've talked about on my podcast that I do with Osu, and I'll leave his Twitch link in the description so you guys can go check out the podcast if you're so inclined. And obviously I'll leave my own link to self-promote myself. I plan on starting to do some more stuff on YouTube, whether that'll be direct VOD rips from my Twitch. Maybe I'll just cut down a specific game and throw it up on YouTube or what have you. But I plan on doing some more content, so if you guys would like to see more, please, 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 I'm going to shill, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on the video to help me in the algorithm, all those fun things that you've heard a million times from every other YouTuber, and I will see you guys very, very soon.